Have you ever been so angry that your heart raced, your mind clouded, and your whole day was ruined just because of what someone said or did to you? What if I told you you could learn to stay calm no matter what? That no one, and I mean no one, could control your peace again. Not your boss, not your partner, not a stranger on the street. Have you ever felt so angry that you couldn't even think straight? Maybe your heart started beating fast, your chest got tight, and your whole body felt hot with rage just because of something someone said or did to you. You couldn't concentrate. You replayed the moment over and over again in your mind, thinking, why would they do that? Why didn't I respond differently? Or maybe even, I should have said this or that. And slowly, without realizing it, you handed over your peace to someone else. You gave them control over your mood, your emotions, your energy. But here's the truth. You don't have to live like that anymore. You don't have to be a prisoner of other people's actions or words. What if I told you that it's possible, truly possible, to stay calm no matter what? That no matter how disrespectful someone is, no matter how loud the world gets, you can stay grounded, you can stay centered, you can stay in control. Imagine this with me for a second. Someone yells at you, but instead of shouting back, you take a deep breath and simply walk away unbothered. Your partner criticizes you unfairly, but instead of defending yourself with anger, you respond with quiet strength and self-respect. No one gets to control your inner calm unless you give them permission. And from today onward, I want you to decide deep in your heart that your peace is your responsibility, not anyone else's. So take a moment, breathe in deeply, and let's begin this journey together. Because this video isn't just about managing anger. It's about protecting your peace. It's about becoming the calmest person in the room, even when everything else is falling apart. It's about becoming you, but stronger, wiser, and untouchable by drama. Welcome to Brain Vital Channel. If you're new here, we're so glad you found us. This is your go-to spot for easy, powerful tips to grow stronger, smarter, and succeed in life. Tired of being pushed around? Want to feel unstoppable and in control? Ready to discover the game-changing secrets that can take you to the next level? Smash that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell so you're always in the loop when we drop new videos. This isn't just fun, it's about unlocking your true power. You have a choice. Stay where you are or step up and become the best version of yourself. Now let's continue. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone and for a moment you wondered if you did something wrong? Maybe someone rolled their eyes at you, snapped at you for no reason, or gave you a cold look without explanation. And deep inside, it left you wondering, why me? Now think about this. What if it was never about you in the first place? Because here's a life-changing truth. When someone insults you, disrespects you, or acts unkind, it says more about who they are than who you are. Most times, people act out their own pain, insecurities, or stress. They carry baggage you cannot see. And instead of dealing with it, they throw it at whoever is nearby. Sometimes, unfortunately, that's you. A full cup spills whatever it's filled with. If someone is filled with peace and kindness, that's what spills out. But if they're filled with bitterness, stress, or anger, that's what comes out when life shakes them. And here's the key. You didn't fill their cup, so don't feel guilty when it spills on you. Let's say you walk into a store. The cashier doesn't greet you. They roll their eyes and say, "What do you want?" Instantly, you feel that heat rise in your chest. Your first instinct? React. Match their energy. Give them a piece of your mind. But what if you knew their child was sick? Or their car just broke down that morning? Or they were just yelled at by their boss? Would you still take it personally? Now, I'm not saying it's okay for people to be rude. I'm saying it's not always about you. And carrying their energy home with you, that's a burden you don't need. You're driving peacefully when someone speeds up, cuts you off, and throws you the finger. You feel disrespected, angry. Your peace is gone. But again, was it really about you? You were just in their way. They might be running late. Or maybe they're the kind of person who treats everyone that way. Either way, you don't have to carry it with you, because reacting gives them power. But staying calm, that's strength. Other people's behavior is a mirror of them, not a reflection of you. You are not responsible for someone's bad mood. You are not the reason for someone's bad character. And you don't have to wear the weight of someone else's issues. Next time someone tries to offend or trigger you, take a deep breath and silently say to yourself, "This isn't about me. This is who they are. I choose peace." It's not weakness. It's wisdom. Can you think of a time when someone treated you badly, but later you realized they had nothing to do with you? Share your story in the comments. Someone else may need to hear it. One of the most empowering things you can do for yourself is to take full responsibility for your emotions. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Your emotions, your reactions are yours. They come from you, and you have the power to choose how to respond to any situation. Now, let me make this crystal clear. No one else can make you feel a certain way unless you allow them to. Think about the last time you got upset, frustrated, or angry. Was it really them that caused that feeling? Or did their words or actions trigger something that you were already holding on to? Maybe a wound, an expectation, or a past experience. We've all been there, right? Someone says something rude or dismissive, and suddenly we feel angry, hurt, or maybe even embarrassed. It's natural to feel that way, but here's the catch. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to let that person's behavior take control of your peace. The key is realizing that you can choose your response. You always have the option to pause, to breathe, and then decide how you want to react if at all. When you realize that something incredible happens, you become unshakable. Why would I hand my peace over to someone who doesn't even know my story? Think about that for a second. Why would you allow a stranger, a coworker, or even a friend to have control over something so precious? Your inner peace. Their actions or words may be harsh, thoughtless, or unfair, but why let them define your emotional state? When you give them that power, you're essentially saying, "I am letting your words or actions determine how I feel today." But here's the truth. They don't have that power unless you give it to them. Instead of giving someone else the power to dictate your emotional well-being, what if you chose to protect your peace and take responsibility for it? What if, instead of reacting instantly, you paused, took a deep breath, and responded with calm strength? What if peace was your default setting, no matter what? Imagine if, in every situation, whether you're stuck in traffic, dealing with a difficult conversation, or facing a stressful situation, your first response was calmness. Not because you don't care, but because you decided that peace is non-negotiable. I know, it sounds almost too good to be true, right? It's easy to say that peace should be the default. But what does that even look like in practice? How do we make peace our first response, especially when life is full of challenges, rude people, and endless distractions? The truth is, it takes practice. But here's the thing. You have the ability to train your mind. Just like you can develop a muscle by exercising it, you can develop emotional resilience by choosing peace repeatedly, even in small moments. Start with the little things. Someone cuts you off in traffic before your mind goes into overdrive with frustration. Take a deep breath. Someone raises their voice at you, pause before you react. This is the beginning of reclaiming control over your peace. And over time, this will become second nature. Peace will no longer be something you try to maintain. It will become your default setting. When you feel your emotions starting to take over, take 5 seconds. Pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Then breathe. Inhale slowly, count to 4 and exhale. Choose your response based on what will bring you peace, not just what feels immediate. By making this your practice, you'll notice how quickly you'll start responding with more clarity, less emotional reactivity, and more inner peace. You'll find that no matter what life throws at you, you are more anchored, more grounded, and unshakable. So, I challenge you today. Take responsibility for your emotions. Remember, your peace is yours to protect, and no one has the right to take it unless you let them. What's one area of your life where you can reclaim your peace today? How could you respond differently to situations that normally upset you? If you're ready to make peace your default, to no longer be swayed by external circumstances or other people's actions, hit the like button and comment below. How will you reclaim your peace starting today? Don't forget to subscribe for more practical tips on living with emotional strength, resilience, and peace. We've all been there. Someone cuts you off in traffic, or your coworker says something that strikes a nerve, and immediately you feel your blood pressure rise. Your body tenses, your heart races, and your thoughts spiral. The instinct to react is immediate. But here's the truth. In that moment, your response is the difference between peace and chaos. The secret? Master the pause. What I mean by pause? Before you react, take a moment. Literally, pause. Take a deep breath. Count to 5. In that tiny space between the impulse to act and the action itself lies a choice. And that choice can either lead you to a reaction driven by your emotions, or it can guide you to wisdom, control, and peace. In the heat of the moment, when emotions are running high, it's hard to think clearly. Our minds rush to conclusions, our hearts race with anger, and sometimes we act without thinking. But what if, instead of reacting, you took a moment to reset? That small pause allows your mind to shift from a state of reaction to a state of reflection. Think of it like this. Reaction comes from instinct and emotion. It's fast, it's impulsive, and it's usually driven by the need to protect yourself or express hurt. Reflection gives you the space to think before you speak or act. It gives you the power to consider the bigger picture and not be led by your emotions. The pause is that tiny gap of control that separates your emotional reaction from a thoughtful response. When we're upset, our bodies automatically react, our breath shortens, our muscles tense, and our mind races. But one of the simplest ways to calm down is to focus on your breath. Here's a simple technique you can try the next time you feel anger or frustration bubbling up. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Feel your lungs expand, filling with fresh air. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. Don't rush, just let it sit for a moment. Slowly exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. Feel the tension leave your body as you let the air flow out slowly. Repeat this 3 times. As you do this, feel your body soften, your thoughts clear, and your heart rate slow. By focusing on your breath, you're creating the pause you need. You're calming your body and mind, resetting your emotional state before you take action. Let's talk about a real-life situation where the pause made all the difference. Imagine this. You're at work, and a colleague you don't particularly get along with criticizes your project in front of the entire team. The words hit you hard, maybe too hard. You feel your face flush, your hands tighten, and the urge to fire back is almost overwhelming. You want to say something sharp. You want to defend yourself. But instead, you pause. You take a deep breath. Count to 5. And instead of launching into a defense, you respond calmly. Thank you for the feedback. I'll look into your points and see how I can improve the project. In that moment, you chose peace over conflict. Now, let's imagine what would have happened if you didn't pause. If you had reacted right away, perhaps with anger or sarcasm, things would likely have escalated. The conversation would have turned into a battle. It might have even impacted your professional relationship and made you appear defensive or unprofessional. But the pause gave you the opportunity to remain calm, composed, and in control. You diffused the situation instead of letting it blow up. You showed wisdom and emotional maturity. And guess what? Your colleague is more likely to respect you for handling the situation with grace. What happened in this example wasn't just about avoiding a conflict. The pause gave the person control over their emotional reaction, which led to more productive, respectful conversation. The pause doesn't just help in the moment. It builds your emotional strength over time. Every time you use it, you're practicing emotional discipline. And as you get better at this, you begin to realize that you don't need to react to everything. Life becomes less about managing conflict and more about cultivating inner peace. No matter the chaos around you, mastering the pause doesn't just prevent arguments or keep you out of tense situations. It helps you build emotional resilience. It's a tool that allows you to keep your cool when the world around you might be in turmoil. And it's something you can practice daily, whether at home, work, or even in traffic. Every time you choose to pause instead of react, you're investing in a calmer, more centered version of yourself. Mastering the pause isn't about perfection. It's about choice. The choice to be calm in the face of adversity. The choice to pause, breathe, think, and respond from a place of wisdom. Stop expecting people to act the way you want. You'll always be disappointed if you expect everyone to think speak, or behave like you. Accept that people are different. Period. We all have a certain way we believe things should be. We have expectations for how people should act, what they should say, and even how they should treat us. But here's the hard truth. People are not you, and expecting them to be can set you up for constant frustration. Expectations are like invisible rules we set for others. We believe they should act according to our standards, but here's the problem. When others don't meet these expectations, we get angry, hurt, or disappointed. But who are we to demand that people follow our script? People think, speak, and behave based on their own experiences, beliefs, and backgrounds. For example, let's say you've been working on a project with someone, and you expect them to work as hard as you. Maybe they take longer to complete their tasks, or they don't show the same level of urgency as you. The frustration starts building up, right? But here's the catch. What if they have a different work style? Maybe they need more time to process information, or perhaps they're balancing other things you don't know about. This doesn't make them wrong. It just makes them different. When we expect others to behave the way we want, we attach our happiness to them meeting our standards. This means that when they don't act the way we think they should, we end up feeling disappointed or upset. We give our emotional peace away by depending on others to fulfill expectations they might not even know about. Think about the last time you felt let down by someone. Was it because they didn't meet an unspoken expectation you had? When you think about it, can you see that maybe you were the one setting the stage for disappointment by expecting them to be like you? What if we simply accepted people as they are, without expecting to act in a way that fits our script? Acceptance doesn't mean we approve of everything, but it means we let go of the need to control others and start respecting their individuality. People are shaped by their own life experiences. They've been raised differently, they think differently, and they have unique perspectives. This diversity is what makes life rich, but it can also be the source of conflict if we insist on everyone conforming to our way of thinking. When we let go of expectations, we stop putting people on pedestals. We stop giving them the power to disappoint us. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, become more peaceful when we understand and respect each person's uniqueness. Imagine a friendship where one person is always punctual and the other tend to be late. If you expect your friend to always be on time, you're setting yourself up for constant frustration. But what if instead you acknowledge that punctuality might not be their priority? What if you accepted them for who they are and adapted your expectations? That would take a lot of pressure off both of you and make the friendship more enjoyable. The key to finding peace in relationships is letting go of the need to control how others behave. You don't need to mold people into your image to be happy. The more you try to change others, the more frustrated you will be. Instead, focus on what you can control: your thoughts, reactions, and emotions. What if you stopped trying to change people and started accepting them just as they are? We're all human, and we'll always have moments of judgment or frustration when people don't meet our expectations. But it's important to ask yourself, are my expectations reasonable? Or am I holding on to a need for control that only leads to stress? When we stop expecting others to act a certain way, we give ourselves the space to be free. We stop living in a world where everyone's behavior dictates our emotional well-being. What expectations do you secretly hold that are making you frustrated with people? Are you letting someone's behavior or ignorance disturb your inner peace? How might your relationships improve if you accepted people's differences instead of trying to change them? True peace comes when we stop expecting others to live up to our standards and start accepting them for who they are. Yes, people will disappoint you sometimes, and yes, they may not always act in the way you think they should, but by accepting their differences, you free yourself from frustration. You take back control of your peace. What's one expectation you're ready to let go of today? Share it with us in the comments. Remember, peace is about you, not anyone else's behavior. Hit the like button if you found this video helpful, and don't forget to subscribe for more ways to live a calm, happy, and fulfilled life. Use real-life scenarios. Keep the examples relatable. Talk about everyday situations where expectations may lead to frustration. Include a personal story. Consider sharing a personal experience where you let go of expectations and felt more at peace. This makes the message more authentic and relatable. Emotional calm is not something that happens overnight. Just like how we build physical muscles in the gym, we need to train our emotional muscles every single day. Emotional strength is something that grows with consistent effort, patience, and practice. The power of consistency. You wouldn't expect to see results after one visit to the gym, would you? Emotional strength works the same way. The more consistently you practice emotional control, the stronger your resilience becomes. Example, just like going to gym daily and working on your biceps or legs, emotional control requires daily attention. Over time, small daily practices will make you stronger and it becomes easy to stay calm during challenging moments. The first step in building emotional strength is becoming aware of yourself, your triggers, your reactions, your emotional patterns. Do you know what triggers your anger? What are the moments that make you lose control of your emotions? Take a few minutes each day to reflect on your day and ask yourself, what made me feel frustrated or upset today? How did I react and why? If you know that certain situations like traffic, difficult conversations, or stress from work tend to trigger you, you can prepare yourself to react calmly ahead of time. Just like when athletes visualize their performance before a big game, you can mentally prepare to face these emotional triggers with strength. Writing is one of the best tools to build emotional muscle. Journaling allows you to process your emotions, untangle your thoughts, and gain perspective on why you feel the way you do. Have you ever written down your feelings when you were upset? How did it help you? Write about a difficult situation you faced today. How did you feel? Why did you feel that way? What could you have done differently to remain calm? By doing this, you're not just venting. You're actively reflecting and learning from the situation. Imagine a scenario where someone said something hurtful to you. Instead of immediately reacting, you take a moment to journal about the situation. This allows you to better understand what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, helping you detach from the situation before responding. Gratitude is like weightlifting for the soul. It's easy to focus on what's wrong, but when you shift your focus to what's going right, you train your brain to stay positive. What's one thing you're grateful for today? How can you shift your focus from what's bothering you to what's blessing you? We all have moments when something feels huge, like the world is closing in on us, or we're being overwhelmed by a situation or a person. Maybe it's a disagreement with a friend, a bad day at work, or someone cutting you off in traffic. In that moment, it can feel like this is everything. But here's a game-changing question. Will this matter in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years? If the answer is no, and most of the time, it is then why give this problem, this stress, this annoyance, so much power over your emotions right now? When we zoom out and gain a broader perspective, we often realize that the big deal we're facing right now is actually a small blip in the grand scheme of things. It's just a moment in time, and it will pass. Imagine you're in a rush and you miss a train or a bus. In that moment, it's easy to feel like the world is against you. The frustration starts to build, and you feel irritated, possibly even angry. But then ask yourself, will I still be mad about missing this bus tomorrow? Will I even remember this moment in a week? Chances are the answer is no. That delay won't define your day, your week, or your life. Perspective is like a mental zoom out button. It helps us see the bigger picture. And when we do, we realize that the things we think are so important right now are often temporary and small in the grand scheme of life. Here's a beautiful truth. You get to decide what's worth your energy. When you step back and think, will this matter in 5 years? You realize how trivial some things are. The arguments, the setbacks, the little annoyances that feel huge in the moment don't have lasting power in your life unless you choose to give them that power. Think about a time you got into a heated argument with someone, or you were upset because things weren't going your way. How often do you look back at that moment months later and think, why did I let that bother me? This is what happens when we allow ourselves to zoom out and apply perspective. By asking, will this matter in 5 days, weeks, or years? We stop ourselves from clinging to fleeting moments. Those emotions that felt so strong at the time begin to fade, and we regain control over them. Analogy: think of your life as a long, winding road. You're driving, and there's a small rock in the middle of the road. You can either stop the car, get out, and spend an hour complaining about the rock, or you can simply drive around it. The rock is a small obstacle, But you have the choice to let it disrupt your entire journey, or you can keep moving forward with ease. By zooming out, you remove the power that little roadblocks have over you. The rock or the problem doesn't become your focus anymore. Example, think about the time you received negative feedback from your boss, a teacher, or even a friend. In the moment, it felt devastating, like a setback that was going to change everything. You may have felt discouraged, hurt, or embarrassed. But fast forward to now, do you still think about that feedback every day? Most likely no. It's faded into the background of your life because, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a permanent setback. What truly matters is how you responded, not the temporary challenge. Will this matter in a week? What's the worst that could happen, and will I be able to move on from this? How will I feel about this in 5 years? Put your problems in context. Sometimes problems feel huge because we're so focused on them. But when we step back, we often realize that they're just small pieces of a much bigger picture. Remind yourself that your entire life is made up of many small moments, and some things will pass faster than you think. Don't sweat the small stuff. Most of the things that bother us, like spilled coffee, running late, or missing a meeting, are temporary. They won't matter in the long run. So why let them ruin your day? Change the narrative. Instead of thinking, "This is ruining my day," try thinking, "This is a moment and it will pass. I have control over how I respond." By shifting your focus, you give yourself the freedom to move forward without the weight of unnecessary stress. The beauty of perspective is that it allows us to let go. It frees us from holding on to the things that don't matter in the long term. When you stop carrying the weight of every little problem, you make room for peace, joy, and growth. The next time you're caught up in a moment of anger or frustration, ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Will this affect my future in 5 days? 5 weeks? You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel when you let go of what doesn't serve you. Life is too short to be bogged down by temporary problems. What's one thing you'll choose to let go of today? How will you use perspective to shift your emotional state? Imagine this. You're walking into a room and someone suddenly snaps at you. Their tone is sharp, their words are cutting, and they're clearly upset. It can be easy to fall into the trap of thinking they're upset with you. And in that moment, the natural reaction might be to defend yourself, to argue back, or to match their anger with your own. But what if I told you that their anger likely has little to do with you? What if their frustration is actually a reflection of something they're dealing with deep inside? Anger, frustration, or even harsh words from others often come from a place of pain. Whether it's emotional stress, unresolved issues, or simply a bad day, these emotions can spill over, and unfortunately, someone nearby, perhaps you, becomes a target of that spilled over energy. This is what we call projection, when someone transfers their own negative feelings onto others. It's not your fault, and it's not about you, but it can still be painful to be on the receiving end of it. Think about it for a moment. Can you remember a time when someone's anger wasn't really about you? Maybe it was a friend who snapped at you for no reason, or a colleague who seemed overly critical. Can you trace that anger back to something deeper in their life that was weighing on them? The first thing to understand is that we all have a choice in how we respond to other people's pain. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, but responding with compassion rather than reacting with frustration or anger can make all the difference. When you choose compassion, you create space between the trigger and your response. Rather than allowing their negativity to pull you into their emotional storm, you can become a calming presence instead, listening without judgment. Instead of jumping into defensive mode, take a step back and listen. Try to understand where the other person is coming from. Maybe they've had a difficult day or are dealing with something bigger than you can see. By simply offering your ears and your presence, you show them that their feelings matter, offering a kind response. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is respond with kindness. Even if someone is rude or harsh, responding with a calm and thoughtful tone can defuse the situation. Saying something as simple as, "I hear you, and I understand that you're upset," can show empathy without escalating things. At times, the most compassionate response is silence. If someone is lashing out, sometimes responding with words can make things worse. Instead, Simply taking a deep breath and allowing them to express themselves without interruption or defense can be a powerful act of kindness. Compassion is one of the most transformative tools we have as humans. It not only helps us create stronger, more understanding relationships, but also has the power to heal. When you respond with compassion, you stop the cycle of pain. You break free from the reactive, emotionally charged exchange and open the door for empathy, healing, and positive change. Moreover, responding with compassion keeps you in control of your emotions. You are no longer a victim of someone else's pain. Instead, you become a source of calmness, understanding, and most importantly, strength. It takes great strength to stay calm in the face of someone else's emotional outburst, but that strength brings peace to both parties in the end. I want to share a story with you, something that might resonate with many of us. There was a time when I was working a new job, and I had a colleague who was constantly rude and dismissive of me. Every interaction felt tense, and I was beginning to feel personally attacked. I thought she didn't like me, and that made me upset. One day, after another sharp exchange, I decided to take a moment to reflect. I realized that her behavior wasn't truly about me. It was about the stress and pressure she was under in her personal life. Her frustrations were not directed at me, but I had become a convenient outlet for her built-up emotions. Instead of responding with anger, I decided to be kind the next time she snapped at me. I smiled, kept my tone calm, and told her, I can see her having a tough day. If you need to talk, I'm here. The change was immediate. She softened, and we ended up having a much more peaceful conversation. That moment helped me see that our responses can either fuel conflict or bring about resolution. So what's the takeaway here? When someone is angry, hurt, or projecting their pain onto you, remember it's not about you. Choose compassion. Choose silence when needed. Choose to listen and understand. Have you ever found peace by responding with kindness, even when it wasn't easy? Responding with compassion might not always be the easiest option, but it is always the most effective. It transforms negativity into connection, conflict into calm, and pain into healing. And in doing so, it protects your peace and builds stronger, more empathetic relationships with others. If this message resonated with you, share your experience in the comments. How have you responded with compassion in a difficult situation? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tips on how to live a peaceful, compassionate life. Silence is a response. Walking away is strength. Peace is the real flex. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Silence is a response. Walking away is strength. Peace is the real flex. We live in a world where emotions run high and opinions fly freely. Whether it's a disagreement at work, a misunderstanding with a friend, or even a rude comment from a stranger, it's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of reactions. But here's the truth. Not everyone and everything deserves your energy. Protecting your peace means understanding that you don't have to react to every situation. Silence and walking away are some of the most powerful responses you can give. In a world that often feels like it's constantly demanding a response, silence is a gift you give yourself. It's not a passive action, but an active choice to maintain control over your emotions. When someone tries to provoke you or drag you into a conflict, choosing silence is your superpower. It's your way of saying, I won't let the situation steal my peace. Think about it. When was the last time you engaged in an argument that left you feeling drained or unsettled? How did you feel afterward? More often than not, engaging in an unnecessary argument only adds to your stress. Silence allows you to protect your mental space and refuse to let someone else's emotional turbulence affect your calm. We've all been there, stuck in a heated moment, feeling the pressure to defend ourselves or win the argument. But walking away doesn't mean you're weak. It means you are strong enough to realize that this conversation is no longer serving you, and it's time to step back. Let's say you're at a family gathering, and someone starts talking about politics in a way that's offensive or stressful. You can feel your blood starting to boil. Instead of getting into a heated back and forth that will only make you more upset, you decide to quietly walk away. You excuse yourself, take a deep breath, and go for a walk or find a quiet place to gather your thoughts. By walking away, you've shown strength to prioritize your mental health over a pointless argument. Can you think of a time when walking away from a situation saved you from unnecessary stress? Here's a simple truth. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. People may try to pull you into drama or may intentionally provoke you, but you have a choice. You can decide whether you want to engage or not. Sometimes, the best way to protect your energy is by choosing not to react. Reactions are often automatic, driven by emotion, but responses require mindfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively, ask yourself, is this conversation worth my time? Is my peace worth more than winning this argument? By not reacting, you are teaching yourself that you are in control of your emotions, and no one else gets to decide how you feel. Real-life example. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague makes a snide remark about your project. Instead of immediately snapping back with defensive comment, you stay calm, take a breath, and simply respond, okay. Then you move on. That's the power of not reacting. You've saved your energy, avoided conflict, and kept your peace intact. Let's face it, there's nothing more attractive than someone who remains calm in the face of chaos. Peace is not a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of strength. The true flex is not in how loudly you respond or how cleverly you can argue, it's in how gracefully you can maintain your peace, no matter what's going on around you. How many times have I felt at peace after engaging in an argument? Wouldn't it be more powerful to feel calm, no matter what's happening around me? When you protect your energy, you are in control of your life. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's behavior or words. The real power comes from your ability to stay grounded and composed, no matter how intense the situation gets. One of the most important ways to protect your energy is by setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are a form of self-respect. They tell others, this is what I will accept and this is what I won't. If someone continuously drags you into drama, it's okay to say, I'm not engaging in this anymore. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. You have the right to walk away, limit your exposure to negativity, and create an environment that nurtures your well-being. What boundaries do I need to set in my life to protect my peace? Who in my life do I need to distance myself from in order to preserve my energy? By walking away or remaining silent, you create emotional distance. This distance allows you to process the situation with clarity, rather than getting caught up in the heat of the moment. Emotional distance gives you the space to reflect on how you truly feel about a situation and whether it's worth investing your emotions in it. In the end, protecting your energy is an act of self-love. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to engage in every argument, every confrontation, or every piece of drama that comes your way. The most important thing is to protect your peace, because when your energy is intact, you are the best version of yourself. How can I practice protecting my energy today? What small changes can I make to ensure that I'm not wasting my precious peace on things that don't matter? If you found value in this message, I encourage you to like this video if you're ready to start protecting your peace. Comment below with one situation where you chose silence or walked away to keep your peace. Subscribe for more insights on living a peaceful, powerful life. You can't control how others act, but you can always control how you react. And that, my friend, is the beginning of peace. What's one situation where you stayed calm, even when someone tried to trigger you? Like this video if you're ready to choose peace over anger. Comment one technique you'll start using today. Subscribe for more weekly life lessons that bring you peace, power, and purpose.